Have you ever thought about what it really takes to build a business that aligns with your soul without burning out or losing your sense of purpose? In today's episode, we are getting honest about the push and pull so many entrepreneurs feel trying to balance personal values with traditional business hustle. There's the challenge of blending intuition with strategy, the stress of people pleasing, and compromising authenticity, and of course, the fear that going against the bro culture might leave you behind. And with that, I would love to introduce you to Marie-Eve Talbot. Please, everybody, stay with me. I'm going to try my best with my French accent, even though it has been, oh my God. I'm going to age myself here probably about 35 years till I had French in school. Yeah, see, that's already happening. Marie-Eve is probably going to pronounce her own name way better than I do, even though my name is even French too, and Starbucks never knows how to actually spell that. So I should be better with this. After this little side bit on French language, let me introduce you to Marie-Eve. She is a dedicated online business manager and mentor for soulful entrepreneurs, guiding them to build thriving businesses with integrity and purpose. With a rich background in business since 2014, Marie has partnered with over 50 clients in the spirituality and personal development industries, bringing a wealth of practical experience to each and every single one of her clients. She passionately explores the powerful intersection of spirituality and business, offering a unique blend of strategic guidance and intuitive wisdom. You are known for your personalized mentorship style, empowering your clients to align their purpose-driven work with their deepest calling. And that's literally why I wanted to have you. When I was looking you up, that combination between purpose, spirituality, but also systems. Now, I'm diving right into deep here. You mentioned on your website a transformative experience during your studies in Australia that led you to design that life-centered, design a life centered around your passions and well-being rather than just the grind. Could you share a little bit more about those pivotal moments that shaped your journey?
Yes, absolutely. So I was 20 years old. I was a student abroad in Australia. I was studying ecology, and that was the place on earth for me to be to learn more about all the animals that only live there. And I met a guy, and I got, well, I caught herpes from him. And that sent me into a terrible spiral of, well, a little bit of shame because I didn't have any diseases like that before, but mostly a huge wake up call of, hey, it could have been AIDS, could have been HIV. I could have contracted something that could have killed me. And I immediately felt the responsibility of my actions, of not putting boundaries properly, of not speaking up. Like it didn't happen by accident. I was irresponsible at that time. And that was, well, thankfully, a small disease to catch, but a huge, huge wake up call. And that led me on a journey to my inner child, to my past, to the like all the sad stories I had that I hadn't really, processed or really felt through. It was intense, but it just revealed so much self-love, so much compassion, and that intense desire to live for myself and, have my life, not living for my parents or what society says I should be doing. I was in the right program. That wasn't a question, but how I was people pleasing or how I was just compromising my values and not really acting from a sense of integrity and authenticity, that left. Like I burned it down. And I already had a yoga practice, so I was familiar with meditation and the chakras and moving my body in a way that felt really good to my mind and my soul and my heart. So that supported me. And when I started my business, it it was a no-brainer for me to work with people in spirituality and personal development fields because I wanted to help raise the consciousness on earth, but that wasn't my calling to be the one on stage, leading the meditations or creating the online programs themselves. My strengths were more into organizing. I'm a Virgo, so I'm very organized. I color code things. My bookkeeping is spotless.
I should send you my books. I'm such a systems person, but my bookkeeping, not the best. Not the best. I'm curious with your spiritual journey, and you're talking about how um business as an integral part of that spiritual journey. How do you guide your clients to integrate their own spiritual journey and their values into their business practices? How do you help them combine what seems so polar opposite?
Well, it feels like taking a sledgehammer to patriarchy and the bro marketing advice, the hustle hard and beat the algorithm and people will miss out and prey on their insecurities. We don't like it. That doesn't work. My clients are so empathetic and intuitive and like highly sensitive. They'll get sick if they try those tactics. Like, their body will not agree with that kind of energy. So we lean more on a feminine approach. We sync our cycle, we check the moon, we take into account our human design and our rising sign. And that's there are so many ways to make money online. It doesn't have to be in the forceful, aggressive, go-getter way. It can be a very fluid and inspired way too. So sometimes my clients will be in a team meeting and they'll say, "Well, I know I said we would do X, but I got a channeling, and now we're gonna be doing Y."
I'm laughing over here. Everybody that's only listening in, you should be watching the video podcast, just saying. Because I'm sitting over here laughing, and my assistant Libby, she is my right hand. She is my shadow. I swear that woman knows more about me than anybody else, and she will agree on this. It's like, yeah, Evie's gonna come on a call, and she had an idea, and she's feeling it out, and she's doing all the things, and then she's burning it down because it doesn't excite her, and it just isn't the right thing, and we're shifting again. So I feel so seen right now.
Well, you're not the only one on earth like that, for sure. That's how we roll with my clients. And sometimes it's more a personal reason, oh, their kid was sick all week. So we have to like postpone the launch. It wasn't this week, but it was going to be in a few weeks. And now we just push it back a little bit. And that's okay. We make space for life. There's not just business, there's vacation and sickness and exciting opportunities that we want to grab when they're there. And the rest, moves along.
And you also mention practices like journaling, shadow work, EFT, as part of your mindset routine. How do these practices and modalities influence your decision making and leadership?
Well, my decision making, whenever I feel frustrated about something in my life, then I remember that having is evidence of wanting. So I've been calling that up for either protection or playing small or, the insecure part of myself that doesn't want to really step up and be seen. So that's when I use shadow work in my journal, and I'm going to write about, well, I love being stuck. This feels so great. And I'll end up listing like 20, 30 reasons why I'm seeking that. And it's going to feel so stupid and so like irrelevant that it's humorous, but also it purges at the same time. And afterwards, I'm like, well, been there, done that. I'm ready for abundance now, or I'm ready for love, or I'm ready for visibility. It's I love doing that. There's always more, of course, to unearth, but that feeling the frustration is my first sign of, well, I'm not in alignment because I'm calling in everything in my life. I'm like when I met that guy and I got the disease. It wasn't out of the blue. We could have been better protected at that time.
I love your approach to, oh yeah, it's great being stuck and kind of taking it into that hilarious. Yeah, I don't have a better word than calling it hilarious. I'm like, I'm somebody that gets stuck in the negative really easily. It's like my brain just sees all the things that can go wrong. I should never be at a kid's pool with parents that are not helicopter parents, because I can't help it. It's great in my business, right? I see all the what ifs, I see all the potentialities, and I can prep a business for it. However, in a personal life, you don't want to carry that around all the time. So a standard gratitude journaling is what retrains my brain to also see the good and not just see the bad. And I love your approach of taking this to a whole new level, right? Life is gonna happen. You're gonna get stuck in something. It just is. And so often in my past, I boxed it up and put it somewhere. And guess what? It becomes Pandora's box. At some point, that thing is gonna open and you're gonna have to deal with it. So similar to you, I have found to giving myself time, feeling myself through it, allowing the emotions. And one of my mentors is going to laugh at that. Scream into a pillow, which I refused for a month. Screaming into a pillow is stupid. Till I got to a point where I had to do something. I carried so much anger and so much frustration, and I had to be on camera in 10 minutes. I'm like, fine, I'm screaming into a pillow. Universe decided you just gonna do it, right? So I came through a different story, but to a similar, where it's like, allow yourself to feel it. Negative emotions aren't bad. Being stuck in those negative emotions is the bad thing. And I might just gonna have to try that hilarious version. And I'm like, I appreciate that you mentioned, yeah, it's gonna feel weird. It does. It does. Screaming into a pillow still feels weird, but at least it helps. That's the fun thing of the things where it's like, yeah, a kid they don't care. They just scream and we suddenly feel weird about it.
Sometimes we just don't see the good side of something. There's no amount of gratitude that can really address like the deep anger we might have about something. And it's better to just look at it instead of bypassing it. If gratitude is hardly felt, like if it's genuine, you feel uplifted and that's awesome. But if you're just trying to put a band-aid on something real, it won't stick.
And I know, if I remember right, you are manifesting generator, right?
Yes.
Me too, by the way. Which is where
You
my
too.
whole quick start comes from, and I want to do all the things all the time, all right away. How does your spiritual values with that manifesting generator show up in your everyday life? Because for me, for example, my manifesting generator is a shiny object squirrel. And I'm curious, between living life now, how the manifesting generator shows up for you, working with clients, how does that show up in your everyday? And maybe even what are some disadvantages and some advantages? Where does it sometimes maybe bite you in the ass, and we come back to journaling, or where it is a big advantage and shows up to help you big time in your business and with your clients?
Well, I don't know if it shows it the same way for you, but for me, it means I'm endlessly curious. I always want to learn something new and try something new. My list of ideas is nearly endless. And at first, I was frustrated that I wasn't able to, accomplish every single project in a day. But now I'm feeling more like, oh, that's awesome. I have so many ideas. I'll never run out. So I can just pick the most exciting ones. Um, with my clients, it works really well because as a manifesting generator, I need some kind of structure for me to get going. So when they have like whatever they need from me, that's my cue to answer that, and it's it's very natural and fluid for me. But when it comes to my business, since nobody is looking over my shoulder to tell me, well, this is the deadline, or these are the constraints, it feels like an open field, and it's sometimes a bit too much freedom. So I found a way to impose rules on myself to create content, and I love blogging. But if I could write anything, then I'll write nothing because it's too vague for me. So the trick I've found for myself is I'll, it's my secret, but now I'm admitting it on your podcast. I use the full moon and the new moon to just set a theme for my blog. And it's not obvious at all. Like I don't say, okay, today we're in the Cancer new moon, for example, but this will give me a little bit of constraint, just enough so that I don't go into all the ideas in my head. I'll try to find an idea that fits that, and then I can start writing. It helps me being a generator when I find that that structure. Same thing for repurposing content. If I have a clear SOP, a clear list of, well, if a podcast is published, you do this and that, I'll follow it. I don't have ask questions. I've already thought about what I want to do and what feels good for me. And then it's just executing. Don't ask too many questions.
I'm sitting over here laughing. Again, guys, I'm telling you, you should be watching the podcast, not just listening it. And I'm sitting here laughing because I'm like, yeah, same here, right? First of all, I'm best reactive. Pop questions to me and I will just flourish. However, all the things I want to do, all the things I want to talk about, all the stuff, I love your way of focusing, especially because I'm diving into shamanic astrology right now. So I'm diving deeper into the moons and the houses and the sun and how it and all the things, which means I'm reading up on the signs and I'm like, ooh, now that's, yeah, because I started reading into it and saw the connections with me as a person, but I can completely see looking at a sign and using that as, okay, which area are we focusing on? What am I pulling out of the sign to focus me? Because same here. And you have better self-control than I do, because even if it's on my to-do list, if I don't have Libby kicking my booty and telling me this needs to get done, you have a deadline, that woman has been a godsend to my business, because I'm like, I can do that tomorrow. I want to be shiny objects over here. I want to test this out, or I want to learn this, or I want to read on this. And things are not gonna get done. So you have better self-control than me.
Well, what's your sun sign? I'm a Virgo, so I'm very organized.
Sun sign I would need to look up. I do not know them by heart right now. And everybody that is listening, yes, I am literally looking that right up right now. Which sign is the sun? Scorpio. That's the sun. Scorpio is my
Okay.
sun sign. So haven't read up on that yet. I don't know how that shows up.
Well, often there's a big theme of transformation. Yeah. And it's emotional. It's a water sign. So transformation and with emotions.
Yeah, I'm like, for everybody that is on the video, I literally we'll do the overlay. I'm gonna have Lucas do the overlay. There is a whole bunch of things happening. For me specifically, we've been diving into the finance and career path because there is so much going on where I'm like, a lot is changing in my business, how we approach it, how we focus on what we do, all the things, and started reading up on it and sending a couple screenshots to Libby, and she's like, holy crap, they're talking about you. I'm telling you, I'm a sucker for personality profiles and stuff. And yeah, yes, it's going to be an interesting time coming up for me, leaning way much more into this, where I was bro culture in the past, where it was all systems, where it was all making things work rather than listening to my intuition, rather than listening to my body and working around it. Now I'm curious to, we were talking about core values, we were talking about personality profiles, astrology, life cycles, all the things. How do you bring all of these things together and then turn that into a sustainable business? Because why I'm asking this question, when I look at manifesting generator, right, we have a lot of ideas, there is a lot going on in that brain, with our personality profiles, with our values, with our spirituality, with just life. I'm like, even if you are not deep into that spirituality and profiles, life just happens. How do we turn this whole thing into a sustainable business that allows us to take time off, to just flow with us? I'm like, we've been taught this is how business goes. Business isn't supposed to go in waves. It's supposed to be getting things done and doing the things and checking off the things. How do you bring those all together?
I find we're actually leveraging our actions and our business actions when we follow those rhythms. For example, the hormonal cycle of women, the first half, we're becoming more creative, talkative. We have so much more energy. We want to meet new people. And then the second half, we're more reflective. We'll refine systems, or, we'll call some things that don't resonate anymore. And we don't want to be as outwardly talkative. We just want to fit into ourselves, and then the cycle starts again. So if you embrace those times, it feels so much better, and you can go so much deeper in both polarities, both in the creativity and both in the reflection. So it might seem counterintuitive to not be linear and consistent in, every day I'm doing the same thing, and every day I'm, you know, creating, that many Pinterest posts, for example, and then a podcast, and then client work, and blah, blah, blah. If you can schedule your month according to those natural energies that you'll have, then you'll be amazing in all those tasks. So I find it's more, um, well, all those charts, the birth chart, human design, the gene keys, the feminine cycle, the moon, where it is in the sky, the house as it relates to your chart. All that is information. Sometimes, well, of course, it's super helpful to know ourselves, but we don't know ourselves that well, I find. Yes, sure, I know a lot of things about me, but reading them in a report feels so validating. And sometimes it just removes the questions and second guessing. For example, we know we're both manifesting generators. So we know we have spurts of inspiration, we'll shift ideas, we'll pivot quickly, and that's part of it. So if we think we should be different, we're just going to go against the grain. We'll just stall our process. Might as well learn to work with it instead. Same thing for the other profiles, and same thing for astrology. For example, I know I'm great behind the scenes and giving advice and seeing the big picture. So I won't be the one creating a new online program every month. It's just not me. It's not my strength, and it's going to be an uphill battle. I don't need to be like someone I admire. I can be like myself. And I find that gives me so much peace about my next steps, because business is always evolving. It's always shifting because we're growing and everything around us is changing too. And we're getting older, so more maturity, more insights sometimes, or different, yeah, priorities with life. Um, so I find it's very, very rich. It informs the way we can take our business forward in a way that is always in sync with how we're evolving. Because sometimes I feel that the bro culture is so much set in stone. Like, we are, like, even those guys are going to be fathers or will want to quit their business or have a brilliant opportunity and want to grab it. Um, they need that. We all need some flexibility. And I find we as women, we need it even more. We want it even more. Maybe it's a gross generalization, but it feels good in my life and in my clients' lives to have that option. You know, like you said, you change your plans, and doesn't it feel much better to go after that new shiny thing? You have your team, you have your support system with you to help you take it through, you know.
And we do the balancing of things where Fridays, for example, is my go play day. It's I Other than what I want to schedule, I don't schedule anything on Friday. I get to go down a rabbit hole with the shiny object syndrome and play around with a tool or an automation or something where I can just let loose. Because yeah, on the other side, there is things that we are building, that we are integrating with the business, so I can play more. But they also need to get done. So it's this balance between building that stability and what does that look like for me so I can play even more. Which leads me to, you have a freebie for my audience. Tell them about your project planner that you are offering on your website.
Yes, so it's a project planner, and it's not the typical project management tool with stakeholders and racy charts or other boring corporate methods. It's very much um, designed to help you find your own joy, what would bring you alive, and start that project in that light. And then we talk about budgeting and goals and KPIs, but in a way that is almost spirit led instead of mental brain led. There's also a checklist because I'm a Virgo and I know it's very useful to have a checklist. But there are journaling questions. Of course, I give my best practices because I'm an online business manager, and I know how to bring a project to completion. Um, but yeah, it's beautifully designed and it's free to download on my website.
And as always, you ladies know it is all in the description. You're gonna find Marie-Eve's links, the website, the project planner, all the fun stuff right in the description. So make sure you go grab that, because first of all, I love me a good project planner, and I love when it doesn't just focus on numbers, but actually impact and values. So thank you for that, and thank you so much for coming on. If you ladies want to meet other ladies like Marie-Eve, make sure to subscribe, because, as you know, I'm only bringing you the best of the best ladies. Marie-Eve, thank you so much for joining me today, and bye everybody. I'll see you on the next episode.